certainly I have some regrets that we weren't able to get everyone health care, and obviously some of the progress that we made is now imperiled because there's still a significant debate taking place in the United States. But the point, though, is that for those 20 million people, their lives have been better.
Is someone going to explain to me the timing of President Obama today with Angela Merkel while President Trump is in Europe? I'd like to know that. All right, that was former President Obama, of course, this morning, as I said, talking about the new Republican plan to replace Obamacare. The Congressional Budget Office now says the new plan would ultimately add 23 million more people to the rolls of the uninsured, bringing the total to more than 50 million, nearly 1/6 of the entire U.S. population. I want to bring back my panel, Matt Welsh and Jason Johnson. Matt, your reaction to this?
Mitch McConnell, even before the CBO score came out, said he didn't think that he had 50 votes for this bill. So I think this probably effectively kills it, at least in this form for the time being. They already weren't going to take up the House bill. Many of the people in the Freedom Caucus who passed the House bill hate it, or at least have been running it down, saying that it's just a marginal improvement at best, and that the process was terrible, partly because they wanted to beat the CBO score out the door so that they can kick the can over to the Senate side. So I think this effectively dooms the bill. Republicans didn't do the work necessary and didn't have the courage of their convictions to actually rip things up and start differently than how they did it.
But weren't they damned either way? If Republicans didn't vote and get this through, we'd be sitting here saying, man, you can't get your house in order. So weren't they kind of screwed either way?
They had time. Well, first they had 7 years to come up with a better plan. But more than that, they didn't have to do this in the first 100 days. They could have taken longer in this administration to say, look, we're going to lay out this budget, we're going to lay out the wall. They wanted to rush it purely for ego's sake, purely because they wanted something accomplished in the first 100 days. And what they've created is an absolute mess that nobody wants to mess with. And at the end of the day, 23 million people losing health care, that is a non-winning form. I don't care how much you want to cut taxes. Cutting taxes will not save your job next year if 23 million people lose their health care.
Do you know what people don't want to mess with or deal with?
What's that?
This Gianforte, Montana thing. Before we go, I just want to go back to it just for a minute, that incident there, because we're now getting reaction from Republican lawmakers. Like it or not, take a listen.
We didn't have a course on body slamming when I went to school. I missed that course.
I believe that we should all treat the press with respect.
The left has precipitated this tense, confrontational approach throughout the country in recent months.
Okay, tense and body slam. I mean, react, please.
The left has done this. What it says is that there is a broader context of anti-media animus. It's actually the thing that knits together the non-democratic coalition in this country right now more than anything. It's certainly not ideology. It's not policy. It's not any of that.
Okay, well, we're less than 2 weeks from that fight that went down when Erdogan showed up and his thugs, his security, his goons were beating down peaceful protesters.
Peaceful protesters, which the president didn't say anything about. And here's the other thing that I find fascinating for the sort of pro-Trump, anti-media people who are always saying that the media is full of softies and snowflakes. Look, if you get triggered by a question about the CBO, you're not tough enough for this job. At the end of the day, people are going to chase you down the hallway. They're going to show up at the bathroom. They're going to ask you to do your job. What's he going to do? Get into a giant mall, fist fight with everybody at a town hall? Because that's part of the job. So if you're not tough enough to do it, if you're not tough enough to answer the question, you're not tough enough for Montana, you need to step back.
I'm going to end on that note. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Up next.